Welcome, Drishti Collective. I'll give that a little time to steep. So today I want to talk about prioritizing your peace. And, oftentimes I talk to a lot of people that want to improve their lives, want to have greater peace, harmony, and grace, ease, and flow in their lives. But they may be being distracted by other things. They may tell me, hey, River, I've got too much on my plate. I don't have enough time to do this. I'm too busy. This is a common thing that you'll kind of come across in the path of personal self-development. And when I look at that, I'm like, okay, maybe not. And we get to look at this pie chart. We have 24 hours in a day. And where are we focusing our attention? Where attention goes, energy flows. So unfortunately, there's a lot of incredible AI algorithms out there. Let's just say your Instagram feed or your Facebook feed is one of them, or the YouTube feed, that are extremely powerful. They may know you better than you know yourself, to be honest, and they know how to grab your attention. And this is an internal battle that you get to kind of have over the prioritization and the reclamation of spaciousness in your life. Because I do believe that we have time to put aside, to say, this is time for me to reflect. This is time for me to pause. This is time for me to give myself a little bit of R&R, a little bit of nourishment for myself. But the problem is the prioritization. And of course, one of the number one things, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you need shelter, food, you need this, that, the other thing to be able to survive. And the number one thing on most people's minds is, I've got to pay my bills. And absolutely, that is a very high priority piece to the puzzle of sustaining yourself and thriving in this world that we're living in today. But at the same time, if you're just going from doing, and never stopping to create space in your life, you're not really being a human being. All right? You're just a human doing. And if you look at music is only music when there's space in between the musical notes. So if it was just note, this is just noise. It's just chaos. There's no rhyme. There's no reason. There's no cadence. There's no pattern. There's no, most people would say it's very difficult to find beauty in that, right? But the moment you put space in between the notes, it becomes music. And when it's beautiful spaces and beautiful notes, now it becomes the orchestra of your life. Right? So how can we design and prioritize to create space in our life so that orchestra of music can just flow seamlessly from our heart to express and manifest as a beautiful life? And a lot of times too, you'll see this even in the entrepreneurial space, in those mental mindsets that reach for success. They'll often say you need to take time for yourself. You need to prioritize that space. Sometimes when we slow down, we actually end up speeding up. Sometimes when we slow down, we actually become the most efficient version of ourselves. How could that be, River? I need to do this, and I'll get more done. But that's not always necessarily the case. Because if you're just doing, and you're getting more tired, you're getting more grumpy, you're getting more burnt out, you're getting more stressed, well, that's how you're showing up for every relationship in your life. That's how you're showing up for every client or every opportunity in your life, that you're exhausted, that you're contracted, and you're not shining your brightest. By doing that, you actually might close more doors than if you actually took more space for yourself to really care for your mind, your body, and your spirit. And then that way you can show up as this bright light in every opportunity, in every one of your relationships. And maybe everything just starts getting a little bit brighter, a little bit lighter. Things start flowing a little bit better. People say, oh, wow, she has such great energy. I just want to be around her, or I want to work with her. or him, right? And that really takes the prioritization to focus on not selfishly, it's actually almost selflessly on yourself. Because by raising your vibration, by cultivating that practice so that you're in mental clarity, you could perform at the best for your partner, your family, your friends, your community, and your job place, your workspace at the same time. You will show up as your greatest version of yourself. But if you don't take care of that foundation, everything starts falling apart. And it's funny to relate that back to having a tea practice. But for me, tea has become one of my foundational practices. And it's a space, it's a time for me to take space, to slow down, to reflect upon maybe what has happened in the day, if I'm drinking tea later at night, maybe reflect on what my day could look like if I'm drinking tea in the morning. Maybe it's an opportunity for me to reflect on my thoughts, my words, my actions. Is there something I wanted to smooth out a little bit more? Maybe I shouldn't have said that to that person. Maybe I could have done this a little better, right? To increase my self-awareness of how I can grow as a person. Things that I can improve on. Because the moment you become aware of it is the moment that you can begin to shift what that story or that narrative is. But if you're completely unaware, you're just going to continue to loop the same old pattern over and over until the reflection of your reality is not so friendly to look at, or something very large happens in your life. So we like to take time to reflect, to kind of as a preventative medicine, so we don't end up exploding and burning a bridge or destroying an opportunity that we didn't mean to. And then you also have the opportunity to dissect. You can go even more minute. You can go really detailed and see, well, why was I thinking that? What led me to have that thought? What is the emotion that's behind that thought? What is the belief system that's behind that emotion? Like, when did I first agree to have that belief system? And maybe unhook or reprogram that. We'll go deeper into the concept of self-inquiry in another video. But that's one of my favorite things to do when drinking tea. And then the last piece is to perfect. So to perfect thyself, to say, well, if this is what I've done wrong, well then what, and I'm calling to release that, well then what am I calling in? How can I perfect myself, or how can I grow into a better version of myself? Because it's obviously, you don't want to get attached to the story of I have to be perfect in every moment. That's not really the concept that we're sharing here. It's more so, where am I growing into? What are those characteristics, those virtues that I'm calling forth for myself? How can I be a more compassionate, content, truthful, humble, loving person, right? And by taking that time each day, we give ourselves permission to really be okay with not being perfect, actually, with being okay with making mistakes, with being okay with I'm on this journey of continual self-development, of continually improving myself, and being okay with being gentle with ourselves, not being so critical of those errors or mistakes that may come up on a day-to-day basis, or even multiple times in a day. But knowing that we're taking the time to do the work, to become a better person, and start walking that path to our highest self, to our highest potential, and prioritizing that is very important. This is known as prioritizing your peace, because the moment that you achieve that within yourself, that which can never be bought, can never be taught, but must be directly experienced from inside of yourself, to connect to that deep space within you and know that you're built on that foundation. Now you can go out into the world. There could be chaos in the world, but you're sitting deep within yourself with your practice, and you are rooted. and you will not be swayed by distractions, by problems, by chaos, because you'll know who you are and you'll be standing firm in that. So this is the power of prioritizing your peace, and it's very important that you take accounting of what am I spending my time on in my day, and what can I cut away, or can I wake up a little bit earlier, just 30 minutes, so that I can spend time with my own practice and develop this muscle and this habit, because this habit will lead to the fulfillment of a lifestyle that leads you ultimately to your destination or your destiny. So it all starts with your thought, which becomes word, which becomes action, which becomes habit, which becomes your lifestyle, which becomes your destiny. So have the thought to prioritize your peace. With that, that brings our conversation to a close. We look forward to connecting with you more online. Stay tuned for more wonderful videos. Thank you.